No trip to Israel would be complete without a visit to the Sea of Galilee. Starting at the Mount Arbel overlook, we take a bird's eye view of the northern end of this beautiful lake, only 13 miles long by 8 miles wide. Several tourist boats are always ready to take you sailing on the same sea that the Lord crossed so many times.
The Lord not only sailed here and looked out over the same landscape, He calmed the wind and waves, as well as actually walking on these waters. God really did choose an attractive and varied land to call His. This time is at the end of the long dry season. But in the spring, the countryside around the sea would be alive with colorful flowers and green grass. Anytime, though, what an amazing privilege to see and experience the same places that have been inscribed in the divine history book, the Bible.
Taking a tour around the Sea of Galilee, we begin at the southern end where the Jordan River flows out. This Yardenit location commemorates baptism, the Lord Himself being the perfect example of obedience, and so many people from around the world are baptized or renew their baptism here.
The main city along the western coast of the sea is Tiberias. Hardly mentioned in the Bible, it nevertheless was very famous among the Crusaders, as evidenced by the many fortress-style buildings. But Tiberias was and is a city highly regarded by Orthodox Jews. Near the center of the city is the tomb of Maimonides, or the Rambam, a Jewish philosopher and physician to Muslim caliphs. Ben Zachai's tomb is also here. He escaped the Roman destruction of Jerusalem and began writing down the many oral traditions. Now, most Orthodox Jews study such books endlessly. Also, many Jews come to the tombs of these rabbis in the hope of getting a more positive answer to their prayers.
At Hamat Tiberias, there is a famous 4th century synagogue. It's interesting to see not only mosaics of the Torah cabinet, but a depiction of the zodiac and other images on the synagogue floor. Hamat means hot spring, and so there is such a spring nearby. Behind is the tomb of Meir Baal Hanez, chief rabbi during the Bar Kokhba revolt. His choice of a military messiah was killed by the Romans, and so was he. Jewish women come to his wife's grave to light candles and pray. Mary Magdalene was a woman favored by the Lord. Her hometown has recently been found. Ongoing excavations here have uncovered the oldest known synagogue to date in Israel. This altar table found at the site has the oldest carved menorah brought to light. Many artifacts discovered here reveal a vibrant town. Magdala had also been famous for the only mosaic of a ship found in Israel.
At the seaside museum of the Nof Ginosar Kibbutz, the only first-century boat discovered is on display. The Lord and his disciples may have sailed the Sea of Galilee in such a boat. Next we come to Tabgha, or Heptipegon, that is, the 7 springs. A beautiful church stands here now. This is the traditional site where the Lord fed the more than 5,000 people with 5 biscuits and 2 small fish.
Close by is the Church of Peter's Primacy. Years ago, the waters of the Sea of Galilee went up to the large rocks around this church, but are now at least 15 feet below normal. Tradition has it that here the Lord forgave Peter's 3 denials, and then commissioned him to be the head of the infant church. Large groups come to honor this memory.
On the northern ridge above the sea, we visited Chorazin, which was mentioned negatively by the Lord. He and his disciples often passed by and through this place. The people here witnessed many of the Lord's miracles and heard much of his teaching, but they did not respond rightly, grew apathetic, and were warned, the results of which is evident in these lifeless ruins. That is, except for lizards and conies.
A little further down the ridge is the lovely Church of the Beatitudes. This, of course, is the traditional place of the Lord's Sermon on the Mount. There are wonderful views from here. Also, this evening, we had the joy of seeing a beautiful rainbow over the Sea of Galilee. We walked along the Sea of Galilee, perhaps where the Lord walked.
Next we came to the seaside town of Capernaum. There are plenty of tourists visiting Israel these days. Look at all the buses standing by. The Lord did make Capernaum the home base for his ministry. The synagogue here is about 3rd century, but built upon 1st century foundations, which is also the dating of the town ruins. Capernaum was also the home of Peter. This is an interesting but too modern spaceship-like Catholic church. It is built over the ruins of a church, built over the ruins of supposedly Peter's house, and so it goes.
Nearby is the Greek Orthodox Church of Capernaum. We snuck around the rocky seashore way. Though the church seems out of place, it makes for a delightful visit. The many wall icon paintings help in visualizing the various Bible events. And the grounds are quite lovely too.
Further along, the northern end of the upper Jordan River flows into the Sea of Galilee. And near here is the once seaside town of Bethsaida, meaning dwelling of fishers. Several of the Lord's disciples came from here. This place also experienced much from the Lord, but did not receive a good commendation from Him. We figure this is probably the size our house would have been in Bible times. The other miracle of feeding the multitude happened in a wilderness field near Bethsaida.
Around the northeastern side of the sea is Kursi, which may come from the Bible area Chorazin or Gerasa. Here is the traditional site of when the Lord drove the legion of demons out of a man. That man went on to glorify the Lord throughout this whole region. Everywhere there is a tradition of the Lord's presence. A church was built. Nevertheless, it is a beautiful place and causes one to think of the Lord anyway.
Across from Tiberias is the little town of Ein Geb. This boat once sailed the Sea of Galilee, but like us all, eventually must be retired. Ein Geb is an agricultural and milk-producing kibbutz.
High up on the ridge behind are the ruins of Hippos or Susitta, meaning horsehead, from the shape and slope of the landscape.
Perhaps the Lord spoke of this as a city set on a hill, which cannot be hid. This paved, once colonnaded street is about 1/4 of a mile long. But the highlight of a visit to Susitta is the panoramic view of the whole Sea of Galilee. Wow! The sights and history and culture of this land, His land, is almost too much to comprehend.